It's really hard for me to make this video, but I've known for a while that I was going to make it. I've always wanted to make it for a few reasons, and one of those is, one, I want people to know that I have a daughter. I don't want her to be forgotten. Even if people didn't know her, like never got to see her, I still want people to know of her. And two, I want to make this in case it's helpful for anyone. I know that in my experience of grief, it's been really helpful to hear other people's stories, whether that's through a book, people sharing it with me, anything like that. It's just been really helpful. But yeah, that's why I want to share this video. And well, that's why I want to share Shiloh's story. That's my daughter's name, Shiloh. And that is why I want to share her story, because it's such a dark experience to go through. It's the worst. And if there can be any ways I can be a light for someone during such a dark time, I want to be able to do that. So that is why I'm making this video. So the story of my daughter starts in June. That was our time of conception, I guess. So it starts there, and we didn't realize we were pregnant until July 19th. So if you've been on my channel before, you've probably seen that I had a finding out I'm pregnant and telling my husband I'm pregnant video, and that kind of shows everything that happened. But basically I was late for my period, but just a couple days late, and that happens sometimes. It had happened a few months prior to that month, and I had the day off, and I was just like, I'm gonna take a pregnancy test. Like, I didn't think I was pregnant at all, but I was like, I'm just gonna take a pregnancy test because I'm a few days late, and I don't know, I just kind of like am curious. Can run to the dollar store, it's only $1, like why not just see type thing. I was like weirded out that I hadn't started yet, but I truly did not think I was pregnant. I'm surprised I even went to the store and bought tests, but I went to Dollar Tree, I picked up $2 test, and I went back home and I took the test, set it away from me. I got my camera out because I knew I always wanted to film it whenever I did find out I was pregnant. And I really didn't think I was. Like, I'm surprised I even filmed it because I literally didn't think I was. And I don't know. I think it was just, we had just decided like maybe we were gonna wait another year. So I wasn't expecting to get pregnant at all. And I started the video, grabbed the test, and it said I was pregnant. And I was so in shock, but so happy, and you can see my reaction in that video. And I knew I wanted to surprise Andrew since he wasn't there. Like, normally I think I would have wanted to find out together, but I seriously didn't think I was pregnant, so I did it on my own. And so I wanted to surprise him, and I went to the store to get something baby, and I ended up picking up 2 onesies. And one said Mom and Dad did a good job because they didn't have anything that said like Dad or Mom besides that onesie. And my siblings have whiskers because we have 2 cats. So I picked those up, and I got another pregnancy test that actually said pregnant or not pregnant, because I was like, is this for real? I have to like take one of these to like actually fully know that this is real, and I have to give that one to Andrew so he knows too. So I took that when I got home, and it said pregnant. I wrapped it all up and gave it to him as an early anniversary gift and surprised him when he got home. And you can see that video, I'll link it down below if that's something you want to see. it's not something, I don't even know if it's something I can watch right now, and I don't know if it will be something you can watch after hearing this video, but if you want to, I'll have it linked down below. But that is when we found out we were pregnant, and I was in so much shock after that. Like, literally I was in so much shock until like week 20. And if you hear chimes outside, we have a chime for Shiloh out there, and it must be windy today, so anyways, I was so in shock, and yeah, it just didn't feel real, I think, because I didn't plan it. Yeah, it's not my plan, it's God's plan. And so yeah, we ended up getting pregnant, and it was a huge blessing, even though I was so in shock. But by week 6, when I was 6 weeks pregnant, I got morning sickness, and it lasted all day, and I experienced morning sickness from week 6 to week 16, so 10 weeks, and it was all day long. It was, seriously, I can't say it's the hardest thing I've ever gone through in my life because of everything I've gone through, but probably the second hardest thing I've ever gone through because it was hard. I felt terrible every single day, and I was nauseous all day, and I didn't throw up every day. Like, I think I only threw up 4 times, but I was nauseous every day, and it was really such a terrible feeling, but it was a reminder that I was pregnant and that I had a healthy baby growing in me, and that's what got me through. I honestly don't know how I got through that though, because that was so hard for me and Andrew, and just, I had it during the summer. I couldn't enjoy my birthday, our anniversary. We went somewhere for our anniversary, which was a mistake because I have morning sickness, but it was just hard to enjoy anything because I felt so miserable, like being so sick. But that is something I will do over and over and over again for my daughter, so it's okay. I got through it. So morning sickness until week 16, and then right after that I felt so good. I felt myself again. I felt just so great. I still had the aches at night, like I had to sleep with a pillow, where it was like I slept on my side, but my stomach was on the pillow, or my belly was on the pillow, and my back, like the side of my back, my side, and just the bottom of my hip bone was on the pillow, and like it was helping me to sleep well through the night. But before I figured out that trick, nothing worked. A pregnancy pillow didn't work. Literally nothing worked. At night I felt so much pain from my hips, but that helped, and I finally could start sleeping well, so I felt so much better. I still had like back pain and stuff like that, but that's just discomfort you get when you're pregnant because your body is changing so much. But besides that, I felt pretty great, and I enjoyed that time so much. Week 16 and on felt great, and the baby was great, and everything was great about pregnancy. And week 20 rolls around, we get to have the ultrasound where we find out the gender of our baby. I also have a video of that. I have a video of us telling our family and friends we're pregnant too. That's something we did shortly after finding out, and you can watch those as well. But we ended up having that ultrasound, and oh my goodness, I totally forgot, guys. First, I had to tell you that I had a dream way before we found out the gender of our baby. Well, I would have plenty of dreams that our baby was a girl before we found out she was a girl. But I had a dream that Andrew and I were at an ice cream shop, and I was sitting across from him, and our daughter was behind us, and she was older. Still a child, but older, and I didn't see her, but I knew it was her. And I'm sitting across from my husband, we're enjoying our time, we hear our daughter laughing and playing behind us, and Andrew looks over my shoulder and calls out to get our daughter's attention, and he says the name Shiloh. When we woke up from that dream, like when I woke up from that dream, I like felt really drawn to the name, but I didn't know if Andrew would like it. So I looked up the meaning, and it meant God's gift and peace. And I love that meaning. And Andrew and I both love that meaning, and we love the name so much we knew it was gonna be our daughter's name. But the entire pregnancy, we both thought it was a boy. Until I started having those dreams, Andrew thought it was a girl, but I was like, I don't know. I still feel like it's a boy. So at my 20-week ultrasound, she writes down the gender on a piece of paper and puts it in an envelope, and we take it home. We were gonna have our baby moon shortly after, like I think that was on Monday, our ultrasound, and on Wednesday we were going on our baby moon. So we were gonna find out on our baby moon, so it was kind of romantic. But as soon as we got home, we couldn't help but open up the envelope because we just wanted to know so bad. So we found out in our living room right after the appointment that we were having a girl. And yeah, it felt like my dreams were coming true. I always thought that I was gonna have a girl first, but I don't know, something made me think I was having a boy, and I was just so happy to be having a girl, and I would have been happy to be having a boy too, but I'm just really happy she's a girl, and really happy that we have a daughter. But yeah, we were both so excited, so happy, and we went on our baby moon. Sorry. We went on our baby moon that Wednesday and just enjoyed our time. I started to feel her kick for the first time when I was in the airport. And she was kicking so much, and it was such a great feeling. On our whole vacation, I could feel her kicking. And we enjoyed our time. We went to Florida. Sorry, I'm trying to get it all together, but we went to Florida, and we stayed at a resort type place that my family would always go to growing up. And we were like the only ones there, which was great. And we would just like lay out by the pool and swim and stuff. And when I would lay in the chair, I could just feel her kicking like crazy. And it was so amazing. And the random people that were there, because there was barely anyone there, would like notice I was pregnant and be like, what are you having? And we hadn't told our friends or family what we were having yet, but we told them because we were like, they're strangers and they won't know. And it just felt so great, and I felt so pregnant in that moment. And most of my pregnancy I was just in shock, but that week like made it so real. And when we came back from that vacation, we had a little tiny gender reveal party for our family. We just popped a balloon, and it had pink confetti, and it was so great. But after the gender reveal, I had an appointment, and I found out that from my 20-week ultrasound, the results I came in, and I found out that I had low fluid, Lowamniotic fluid, and my doctor thought it was because I wasn't drinking enough water, which I definitely wasn't, because water made me so nauseous when I had morning sickness, and I had that until 16 weeks, and then 20 weeks, like there's only 4 weeks in between that, and I was just starting to get like to where I could drink a little more water, and it still kind of made me feel nauseous, even though I wasn't feeling nauseous. It just gave me a weird feeling, so I wasn't drinking a lot of water up until that point, and she told me like, just start drinking more water, and that's probably it. You just probably need more water. So I started drinking a gallon of water, and I had this huge gallon water bottle, and the rest of my pregnancy I like drank that every single day. I seriously drank the gallon every day. I did not miss. I was like, I am gonna do everything I possibly can. Like throughout my whole pregnancy, I tried to do everything I possibly could to have a healthy pregnancy, even when I felt miserable. And when I found out that I needed more water, I drink that gallon every single day, and I actually liked it. I felt so much better drinking that much water. So I drank the gallon of water, and I did everything I could to stay healthy, but at 25 weeks I got sick, and I called my doctor, let her know I was sick. She told me what to do. I had my sister's nurse friends I was texting, making sure that I was doing all the right things. Checked with my doctor, making sure I'm doing all the right things. And my sickness started to get worse. And I would check her on the baby Doppler I had every day to make sure her heartbeat was how it should be. And it was always 165, but I was feeling less movement. I wasn't worried because she wasn't like moving like crazy every day. Like some days she would move less, some days she would move more. I just figured everything's okay because I was checking her on my Doppler every day and making sure that her heartbeat was good, and it was always at 165. And then that Friday, I checked her heartbeat and it was at 160, so a little lower, but still like a great heartbeat. Like I think at my last doctor's appointment, it was 140 something. So it was a good heartbeat. That was the heartbeat she had most of my pregnancy until that last appointment. So I was like, things are good. Thank the Lord. That Monday I had an appointment, and I was just like so looking forward to that appointment because it would have been after me being sick, like I could make sure everything's okay. So I was so looking forward to that appointment, and my doctor was waiting to see me that Monday. And Saturday I decided I am not going to check her heartbeat because I've been checking her heartbeat like crazy this entire time that I've been sick, and I'm not gonna worry anymore because it's been so good. I've had nothing to worry about. So I didn't check it on Saturday, and then on Sunday, I woke up with a rash on my legs, and it almost looked bruised, and I just had like this huge rash on my leg, and I thought that was weird. And the last few days I had red hands that were really prickly feeling and red soles at my feet that were really prickly feeling, but I had looked it up and it seemed like a symptom of what I was experiencing with all my other illness symptoms, so it didn't seem like anything odd to me. So I didn't worry too much about that. It was the weekend, I couldn't really call my doctor, so I was just waiting for Monday to see her. But Sunday when I woke up, I saw that rash, and so I decided to check her heartbeat again, and I got the Sonos Doppler out and laid down and started to check for her, and I heard nothing. I was using coconut oil, and you were supposed to use aloe vera. And so my husband went to the store to get aloe vera. We thought it was just the Doppler not working because it was a friend of mine that I had been borrowing, and she used it for her kids, and her oldest is like 7. And so I was like, maybe it's just breaking, maybe it's not working right, but we'll get the aloe vera and just like see if that helps. So my husband went to go get it, and I went to get in the shower, and even though I wanted with everything to believe that it was just the Doppler, I broke down in the shower, bawling my eyes out, crying out to God, like, please let everything be okay. Because deep down I knew something was wrong. And my husband got back from the store, and I tried it with the aloe vera, and we heard nothing. So I got a hold of the nurse friend and asked her what to do, and she said, call the hospital, because it was Sunday and my doctor's office was closed. She said, call the hospital, they'll have you come in and they can check for you. And I called the hospital, and they told me I was fine to come in, and they took me to a room to check her heartbeat, and the nurse in the room had her little Doppler, and she was pushing so hard, trying her best to find it, going from every angle. She was trying so hard to find a heartbeat, but we heard nothing. And she was like, I don't hear a heartbeat, but I'm hopeful that hopefully we'll hear something on the ultrasound. Like, I just hope we do. But she was like, but I want you to know that I didn't find a heartbeat. And so she left the room to get the lady for the ultrasound. And my husband and I, like, literally just stared at, like, the ceiling and the walls and didn't say a thing. We were in so much shock. So much shock. Even before we went into the hospital, like, I broke down because just something wasn't right, but like still I was in shock, and I prayed before we went in. We prayed before we went in, and we were just still so hopeful and thought, you know, this can't be happening. Like, something, we're gonna find out. It's all okay, it was just your Doppler. But when the nurse checked and it happened to her, like, we were in shock. And when the ultrasound lady came in, she pointed the screen away from us. And usually when you get an ultrasound, you can hear the heartbeat, and you can hear swishing, and you can hear things going on, but we heard nothing. And the nurse came in a little after she was checking on the ultrasound, and they looked at each other, and she pointed the screen to her and told her to look, and they looked at each other like, I just knew. And when they left the room, I told Andrew, she's gone. And we both bawled our eyes out. For so long. And then my midwife came. And she confirmed that she had passed. It told us that I'd have to go into labor and that we'd have to plan a funeral. And it felt like the worst 3 things I could have ever heard in that moment. So after that, after our midwife left, she gave us some time to decide what we wanted to do, because she said I could go into labor whenever I wanted to. If I wanted to, I could go back home and come in the next day. It was up to me, and she gave us some time to ourselves, and we called our moms. And that was so hard because they were heartbroken, just like we were. And I'm so thankful that they had that feeling, because they were heartbroken because they loved her, but it was so hard. The whole situation was so hard. And so Andrew and I decided that we were going to induce the labor that night, and they took us to our room where I was going to deliver her, and our families came and sat with us and cried with us and talked with us until I felt ready, which was like 3-4 hours. And then I let them know that I was going to go ahead and get started, and everyone left, and my mom stayed with me and Andrew, because I don't think I would normally want my mom there when I deliver, but for this I wanted her there. And the nurses came in and we got started. They induced me by a pill, I don't know what it's called. Normally you would take it in your mouth, but because I was so early, I was 26 weeks, and because that was early, obviously, they had to insert it into my cervix and get it started that way. And that was so painful. Like that, I remember being the most painful thing of everything. But they gave me that first pill, and nothing really happened during the first pill. Each pill I had to take every 4 hours. So during the first pill I didn't feel much. Andrew and I laid in the bed together and just tried to get sleep. That felt impossible. And my mom was just messaging everyone we wanted to know and letting them know what had happened. And she got a hold of her small group, and a lady in her small group knew a photographer that took pictures for things like this, and she asked if I wanted her to come, and I said sure. I didn't even know what I wanted. I didn't even know if I would want pictures. I didn't know how to feel about anything because I was so in shock, and I couldn't have ever prepared for this. Like, I felt so unprepared, but I didn't even know what I wanted or what I would want in that moment because I was absolutely in shock. But I said sure, and I'm so thankful that I did have a photographer come. But anyways, towards the end of the first pill, I started to feel like something, like maybe that feeling right before you start your period. It's not really a cramp, but a discomfort. At least that's how it is for me sometimes. But I maybe had like a cramp here and there, but nothing. Like, it was basically not a cramp. Just kind of a discomfort in that area. And so they gave me the second pill, which hurt, and then the contractions started coming like very soon after that, and I was trying to count them as being 5 minutes apart, but they weren't even 5 minutes apart. They were like coming 3 minutes apart, and it felt like not much of a break at all, but I was getting maybe 3 minutes between contractions, and the contractions lasted for a decent amount of time. And towards the end of that second pill, I had to go to the bathroom. Usually you do have to go to the bathroom when you're about to go into labor or during labor, just to clear yourself out. And so I went to the bathroom, and my contractions were painful at this point. They were very painful. During my contractions, I would like shake my head back and forth really fast. That was like how I managed the pain. And when it was really bad, I added my hand to it. And at this point, I was adding my hand to it. And when I was on the toilet, it felt so much better than when I was laying in the bed. So my nurse was letting me know what I could do, and one of those options was to sit in the shower or take a shower or be on this bouncy ball thingy. So I was like, oh, I'll go on the bouncy ball. But when I got up from the toilet, like, I started to black out, and they rushed me to the bed, and I laid on the bed and I stopped blacking out. And so I knew I wasn't gonna get up again because I did not want to black out. So I was like, I don't know how to manage the pain right now, because sitting down or laying down like this, I'm feeling them so much worse than when I was on the toilet sitting down. So, but if I sit down, I might black out. So I just have to like keep going with this. And my mom and Andrew both wanted me to get an epidural, even though my original plan was to have no medication. But with this situation, I was okay having an epidural because I just was in so much emotional pain. So I didn't know if I could handle physical pain. And I finally decided I think I'm ready for an epidural. And so the nurses first gave me my 3rd pill, and then they went to see if I could get an epidural. Right after the 3rd pill, I did not have any breaks in between my contractions. They were just going and going and going. It was like a wave. They say it's like a wave, and it was just crashing and crashing and crashing. Like it would not stop. And I was like, oh my goodness, like I need something for this, because I wasn't able to control my breaths. Like I had no time to like prepare my mind for labor. Like this was all such a shock, and if I could have stayed with my breathing and had a better like control over my mind, I totally could have handled it. But because everything that was going on, it just felt impossible in the moment to handle it. So my nurse came back and said that my platelets were low and that I couldn't have an epidural. So I decided I had an option between Tylenol. No, I tried that earlier, it did not work. And this one thing that lasted an hour, and morphine, which lasted 6 hours, and those were my only options to manage pain. So I knew I didn't want morphine so bad, because my grandma had been on it when she was in hospice, and I like hated what it did to her, but I know it helped her, but I just knew I just didn't want it. But I did not know how long I was gonna be in labor. Like when they put that 3rd pill in me, like she tried to check for dilation, but I was in so much pain she stopped. And she said, I can't really tell if you're dilated at all. So I literally thought I had so much left and I wasn't getting any break. And so I was like, I'll take the morphine. But I obviously didn't want to so badly, but then I got to the point where I was just like, I'll take it. So I know I was in so much pain in the moment, but she brings in the morphine and gives it to me, and I like am not able to like feel a difference at all. And I'm like, all my contractions have me waving that hand like I was when the contractions were really bad, because they were all very bad. And so I started to notice that instead of going like super fast, I was starting to go like this, very slow. So the morphine had relaxed me, but I felt the pain entirely the same. Like obviously I was still having my hand up because it felt like high pain, because that's what high pain meant when my hand was up. And I was still going high pain, but moving very slowly because my body was relaxed. So I remember this all being shortly after they gave me the morphine, because it kicked in pretty fast, and shortly after they gave me the 3rd pill. And I looked over at my husband, who was next to me. The nurses had just left the room. My mom had left the room to get more water. And I look at Andrew and I said, when is the morphine gonna kick in? And as soon as I finish my sentence, I feel a drop, and she's there. Like I feel her down there, and I'm scared. Like I like get up and I say, she's down there, she's down there. Like I was so relaxed, but when she dropped, I was not relaxed anymore. I was like, she is down there. And so Andrew was pressing all the buttons for the nurses, because everyone had just left, and they came in, my mom came in, and the nurse was at the bottom of my bed, and she's like, your midwife is 15 minutes out, but you can go ahead and push. And from all the vlogs I had watched, birth vlogs that I had watched, they always are like, wait for the doctor, don't push. And so in my mind, I'm like, I'm not supposed to push. And I just truly just did not feel ready, because labor had taken my mind off of everything that was going on, because I was in pain. But when she dropped, like I knew she was coming and that I was gonna see her, and I was scared. I was so scared. I didn't know what that would be like. And she told me to push, and she told me to go ahead and push when I'm ready, and I was not ready. I like shut my legs. I was like, I'm not gonna push. And I decided, after she kept encouraging me to go ahead if I was ready, and I tried to wait for the midwife, but the pressure was seriously too much. And I thought, okay, like I'm just gonna do a slight push and see if anything happens, because I thought I would have to do so many like pushes, because usually you hear it taking so many pushes. So I have my legs shut and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna do a little push and see if anything happens. And I started to push and I felt her coming, so I pushed her out stronger than I expected, because the little push turned into a strong push, and before I knew it, there she was. Like, that push took her right out, and it was so fast, and before I knew it, my daughter was born, and I looked down and I saw her face. And she was so beautiful. And the nurse asked me if I wanted to hold her. And I wanted to. So she put her on my chest, and it felt like the biggest relief and the best feeling in the world. I thought seeing her and holding her seeing her would be the worst part, because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what, like, seeing my daughter dead, like, I just thought it'd be the worst. But seeing her at all was the best part, because I got to see her and hold her, and I'll always cherish that I know what she looks like, and I know what it feels like to hold her. But I held her so long, and Andrew was with me, and we were just looking at her and just saying how perfect she was and how beautiful she was, and all her little features. She looked like my husband. She looked so much like him. She had his nose and his lips, and she was just so perfect. And we both held her and just looked at her and couldn't stop saying how perfect she was. We loved her so much. We love her so much. And it was just the best feeling to hold her and see her. Our families came shortly after and got to hold her and see her, and we all just like loved her so much and just had all the love in the world to give to her. And the photographer came a few hours later, and we got pictures done. We got to have pictures of us holding her. They did this thing that was so amazing, because when you have a baby that early, their skin and everything, it's not as developed, and their skin starts to peel after a while, and their skin starts to, like, you know, gravity gets to it, and it starts to smudge up a little. I don't know how the best way to word it is, but they look different than when they first came out. And she had heard about this thing about putting the babies in water or the saline solution. So they had like this little bassinet of saline solution, like glass bassinet of saline solution, and or just a glass box of some sort, and it had saline solution in it, and we got to hold her in it, and our photographer took pictures, and we got them back, and it's seriously amazing how much more developed she looked, and how you could make out her features so much more. And it was just so, I'm just so thankful to have had a photographer come and like have pictures to look at forever. I will never forget. Well, I'll never regret that is what I mean. And I'll always cherish those pictures. So after the photographer left, we held her and kissed her and hugged her and cuddled her and did everything we could to express our love. Like, we just wanted to hold her forever. But her skin was getting more fragile and we knew it was time. And so the funeral people came and they picked her up. And then we had to spend most of the time in the hospital the next few days. Like, we didn't get to leave the hospital because they thought I had certain things going on with me because my platelets were low. I had low blood pressure. I had, what else did I have? I had elevated elevated liver enzymes. And so they thought I had this thing called HELP. It turned out I didn't. My doctor, because I had those red palms and feet, they thought I had something called, I'm gonna butcher it, but cholestasis of pregnancy, which is where your liver, bile acids in your liver are elevated or something, and it's toxic to the baby. But they checked my bile acids and everything was fine, and they ran so much blood work on me those days I was in the hospital. I had like 10 vials a day taken from me at least. And some days it was closer to like 20. Like the last day I was there, someone came in the morning and took like 2 or 3, came and took 7 later, and then 7 again in the evening. Like, I was getting so much blood drawn from me. I had magnesium being IV'd into me. I had my blood pressure and everything monitored, my pulse monitored, like all these things were going on. They thought something was wrong with me. But it turned out I didn't have cholestasis of pregnancy and I didn't have the HELP thing, but from being sick, what I had during that time did something with my liver to elevate it. Maybe because I was pregnant, I don't know. So my liver was weird, but it was going down to where it needed to be, like every day that I was there. So that was a good sign. And my platelets were raising on their own. Like, everything was going back to normal after I gave birth. So they weren't very worried. But they had sent my placenta in and had found out that I had blood clots in the placenta, and that is what was keeping her from being able to get the nutrients she needed and everything she needed. And I always wish that there was something I could have done, but I can't be like that. When they had given me my ultrasound, when I found out she had passed, my fluid levels were perfect from drinking that gallon of water every day, and she was perfect. Nothing looked wrong. Literally nothing looked wrong, and they couldn't see into the placenta, but it ended up being that I have blood clots, and it sucks. There was nothing I could have done, and my midwife and everyone reminded me of that multiple times. But if there was, I would have done it. I would have done anything. after 2 days in the hospital, we got to go home and we just felt numb and broken. My sister's out of town and she lives in a different state, very far from where I live, and I wanted her to be at the funeral and she wanted to be at the funeral, so we had the funeral the following Thursday, and so we had this whole week, and we would wake up at 9 or 10 and we would like just sit and stare until 4 o'clock and cry and stare. We were so sad and numb, and we couldn't even function until like 4 o'clock. And then we would try to keep ourselves company or busy. We would try to be around friends or family. But every day I would wake up and we would cry and just sit and stare. A whole week. On Thursday, like that Thursday, I had her on Monday, and that Thursday we went to the funeral home to arrange everything, and he asked if we wanted to hold her, which, if you haven't been through this, sounds, I don't know. I know how it might sound, but we were very thankful he asked us that, and we got to say goodbye to her again and hold her and sing to her, and our parents came with us to support us and they got to hold her, and we all got to say goodbye to her again. And that was the best part of the week because we missed holding her so much. I read a quote somewhere that said, "Every day I wake up just to miss you all over again." And that's so true, every day. And it was so, so true. The first so many weeks, like, we had 3 weeks off of work, and every day we wake up, same thing, sit and just stare. It's just a feeling you'll never experience unless you experience it. It's the worst. The following Thursday, we had her funeral. And it was the first time I got ready. And sadly, I wake up and that day my body decides to contract my uterus. And so I'm having labor pains while getting ready for her funeral. And we had our funeral. Andrew carried her little box. We wrote letters to her and our friends read them at the funeral, and our pastor did the ceremony. We had flowers for her grave. I never would have ever thought I'd had to do that. And I didn't mention this yet, but like every mom that gives birth, your milk comes in. But I didn't have a baby to nurse. So I had these gigantic boobs that were rock hard for like, I feel like it took 3 weeks for them to totally go down. Luckily, for a lot of people it's painful, and for me it wasn't, but they were hard as a freaking rock. And it felt like 2 pregnant belly bumps. Like, I had never had boobs that big. Like, when I was pregnant, my boobs were big, and then there was engorged boobs, and that is just, you didn't even know your boobs could possibly get that big. And hard as a freaking rock. And cabbage leaves helped me so much, and they went down more and more every day, and I'm just very thankful I didn't feel pain. But I know that's not everyone's story. Even people I know who have gone through this, like, it wasn't their story, and I'm very thankful I didn't have pain. But you still bleed, and you experience all of the afterbirth stuff, and luckily I did not bleed a lot, and I didn't have so much pain, and I only had that 1 day of contracting, like, and maybe a few other minor contractions later on. But I'm blessed that it wasn't as bad as it could have been, but it's still not something you want to have to go through, especially after going through the death of your child. But Andrew and I got to stay home for 3 weeks, and by the 3rd week we started to function a little more. We weren't sitting for hours on end just staring at a wall that week, but we weren't feeling better, really. But we were feeling the best we probably could be, and we were able to function a little more and do something besides just stare. Still so many tears, and I'm just so thankful we had that time together, because it would have been miserable. But after that week, you had to go back to normal life, and nothing feels normal. You're a mess, and we've both been able to keep it together at work and just go about life normally, but because we're not having a whole day to process everything and then a distraction in the evening anymore, it's more like we have a whole freaking day of distractions, and the more you're distracted, the worse you feel. And so we come home in the evenings and think about her and cry, and we also think about her and it's happy. Like, we feel best almost when we're crying, because we're able to feel. There's so many days where it's hard to even feel anything. And by saying that, I mean just it's hard to express it. Your tears won't come when you feel sad, and when you're able to cry, you're able to like express how you feel. And it just, even though it's hard, it's like it feels best when you're able to cry and just express it. And I've been meeting with people that have gone through it, or people who are just like willing to listen, and that helps. I read a book that helped me called Saying Goodbye. I didn't want to read it because I never want to say goodbye. I never wanted to say goodbye. But it was a story of someone who had lost their children too, and it just felt comforting to read it and know that I wasn't alone. And it has daily support, which has been helpful. But we got her pictures back, and I just look at those and think about her, and we journal. We write letters to her in our journals. We talk to her through our journals and process things through our journals. And we have always hated even trying to journal. We've tried it and like it just doesn't work for us, but for this we have been able to, and it's been so helpful, and like I feel like I can talk to her. I hope that sharing my story of loss and Shiloh's story, that maybe it will comfort someone that's going through this. Maybe it feels like you have someone to cry with, or not alone in this, because I know that is always so helpful to me when I know I'm not alone and when I'm crying with someone. So no matter what, I hope that this video can be a light during a very dark time. And yeah, I just knew I couldn't go my life without sharing about my daughter, because she's my daughter and I want people to know about her, and she will always be my daughter, and I will always have her in my heart, and always want to remember her and have traditions around her and just have her be a part of my life. So I want people to know about her. So yeah, that is all I can think of right now. That is the story, and I hope it is helpful to someone.